Welcome. I thought we would start today with some hand massage. So we'll start, just choose a hand and just feel into it. How are you feeling? Are your hands warm or cold? Do they respond well to touch, or are they a little bit sensitive? And then move from that understanding or that information that you've just gathered. So choose which hand you'd like to massage, and we'll just massage each one of the fingers and the thumb. And it's possible that you have more dexterity in one side than the other side, or this might not feel very comfortable or very attainable. You can always make a fist with the opposite hand and kind of press the fingertips into that area, or find a corner of a desk or something else that might be, a bit rigid, and be able to provide that feedback if your opposite hand is just not cooperating today. And we'll move into the mounts of each finger and the palm of the hand, and especially this big mound by the thumb. If you can get in there, that's often a place that stores a lot of tension. And if you have the grip, you can even pinch in between the index finger and the thumb and give yourself a little bit of a deep massage there if that feels good in your body today. Again, the pressure is decided by you, what feels tolerable, what feels nice, what's easy. Keep it easy. Yeah. And then we'll switch to the other hand again. The tips of each finger, building some good circulation through massage, some relaxation through massage. The mounds of each finger, right where the finger touches the palm, and then especially the big fleshy bit by the thumb, and then the webbing in between the thumb and the index finger. And this is a pretty easy way to just come into the body, to feel, are you experiencing tension, and to let a little bit of that tension go. We have a lot of control. We don't have full control, but we have a lot of control over how we tell our body to relax, and that we can say, oh, everything's okay, I can do something about this. And then maybe you want to roll the wrists, interlocking the fingers. And then maybe we switch to the wonky thumb, the opposite direction, what feels less natural. Roll the other direction. And we'll put just a little bit of movement into the rest of our joints, in the shoulders and the neck, and just stretching intuitively what feels good here. Maybe it's things that are asymmetric, or maybe to you it feels really good to do both at the same way. And then if you feel any pops or clicks or cracking in the neck, know that that's normal. Just take it easy, as long as you're not experiencing pain. You're not really causing any harm. And then we'll move into the hips, wiggling from side to side, finding a nice balance. Maybe leaning forward and backwards and finding a comfortable tall spine. So a place where the head is over the neck, is over the spine, is over the hips. And we'll settle here. And you can close your eyes if that feels good. And you can keep them open if that feels better to you today. No worries. You can lower the gaze. You can kind of make the eyes go fuzzy. You can do whatever you need to do to feel comfortable and to go inside. We'll just arrive here and find some balance and find some stillness. And then ask yourself, is there anything I can do to make myself 1% more comfortable? And And if there is, make that micro adjustment. Maybe you found that the shoulders have crept up and you can relax them. Or maybe you found that the jaw is clenched and you can just separate the teeth a little bit. Or maybe you're sitting in a way that you're using a lot of effort and you can sit in a way that uses a little bit less effort. Make those little adjustments. And then I'll invite you to set an intention if you like. Send it out to the universe. You can use mine. I am resting. I deserve rest. Or you can choose your own, whatever's come to you. The first thing that comes to you is usually the right thing that you need for the day. Send it out to the universe. Let the universe conspire to help make it so. And we'll come to the breath. In through the nose and out through the nose where you can. Just observing, noticing. Is the breath shallow or deep today? Is the breath in the chest or the belly? Is it fast or slow? Is it continuous, or are there gaps between the inhale and the exhale, between the exhale and the inhale? And there's no right or wrong answer. We're just observing. And I'll invite you to come into a 3-part breath, engaging the belly, inhaling to fill the ribs, and inhaling again to fill all the way up to the top of the chest, and then a long, slow exhale. And this can be at your pace, but it looks like this. In, out. And you can choose whether you exhale through the nose or whether you exhale through the mouth. It's up to you. Breathing into the belly, and then into the ribs, and then into the chest. And a long, slow exhale. And I'll leave you to your breath for a couple minutes, and then I'll come back. Into the belly, into the ribs, into the chest, and a long, slow exhale. Come back to your normal breathing pattern, to whatever feels easy, normal. And notice if it's any different than the pattern that you noticed when you first sat down. Maybe your breath is deeper. Maybe it's longer. How do you feel emotionally? Sometimes we have a very busy brain that has a lot of thoughts. Sometimes our brain is more calm. No matter which kind of brain you have today, coming to sit, to breathe, to meditate is always a great choice. There's no such thing as a good or a bad meditation. Sometimes we feel agitated, sometimes we feel calm. It's all welcome here. I invite you to join me in another breathing pattern. We're simply going to breathe in for a count of 5 and out for a count of 5, and then hold the breath at the bottom until we feel that air hunger. So slow in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then hold at the bottom. And you'll know, we're not trying to hold our breath as long as humanly possible, just until you feel that urge, that sensation that says, okay. Not a gasp for rest, just a nice slow in for 5 and then out for 5. And holding it at the bottom until you feel that need to breathe. I'll call you back in a couple minutes. One more like this. Take your time. There is absolutely no rush. Inhaling for a count of 5. And exhaling for a count of 5. And this time holding the breath at the bottom a little bit longer until you really feel like you need the air. And when you can't hold the breath any longer, come back to your normal rhythm of breath. Keep it easy. In and out gently through the nose. You might feel that your heart's beating or that there's a little bit of tension or anxiety from the breath hold, and we're just calming it right back down. I'm safe. I'm resting. I deserve to rest. And then once again, do a little body scan. Find if there's any places that feel uncomfortable, that feel tight, or that feel tense. And see if you can breathe into them. See if you can remind yourself, I have the power to make these small adjustments. I can do something about this. And then mindfully move or breathe into the area that's tense and find a tiny bit more comfort. And again, your mind might be busy. There might be thoughts that come in and out. Thoughts are part of every single person's human experience. And in meditation, we don't need to push them away in order to practice. What we're striving for is learning to bring the mind back to the present, back to the breath, back to whatever the object of meditation is, even when the thoughts are arising. So we'll come back to the body, but this time we're going to observe the energy. Are you high energy? Do you feel ready to move? Are you feeling a little bit antsy, sitting still? Or are you feeling more low energy? Maybe you think about it on a scale of 1 to 10. Maybe you can pinpoint, actually, I'm more of a 4 today, or actually, I'm more of a 7 today. Sometimes the energy in our body matches the frequency of the thoughts. So how busy is your mind today? And maybe again, you think about it on a scale from 1 to 10. Are you feeling really calm? I'm like a 3 today. Or are the thoughts just coming like a waterfall? I'm actually up towards a 8 or a 9. And there's no right or wrong answer, and it's totally fine however much energy you feel in your body and however many thoughts are coming through your mind. We can imagine the mind like a snow globe where we shake it up, and on a high energy, high thought day, there's little particles of snow swirling all around. And then as we rest, as we allow ourselves to rest, as we give ourselves permission to rest, the snowflakes gently fall and settle until the snow globe is clear and we can see through again. So maybe this analogy resonates and you can think of yourself as a snow globe. You can think of your thoughts as the flakes of snow inside. And we can think of our breath and our sitting practice, our meditation practice, as a way to help keep the snow globe still so that the snowflakes can make their way to the ground. We unfortunately cannot force ourselves to calm down. We can only give ourselves the right environment, and then we can slowly let it happen organically. There's no magic and nothing we can do to instantly be calm, but we can use the tools to give our body the sense of peace and safety that it needs to calm down itself. Where do you feel your breath now? It might be nowhere, that's okay. If it's hard to find the breath, you can look for it in the nostrils or the upper lip. You might find the breath in the chest. You might find the breath in the ribs. Or you might find the breath in the belly. So choose one of those places where you can observe your breath coming in and out, expanding and contracting. And then observe what's physically happening in your body as the body breathes. So observing the inhales and the exhales and what's physically changing as you breathe. And your busy brain might say, well, this is boring, and give you a thought or a feeling. And your job is just to say, oh, thank you, brain. I will think about that later. And bring the mind back to this amazing phenomenon of breath that keeps us alive, that keeps us moving, that feeds all of our cells in ourselves with oxygen. And the mind might say, watching the breath is boring. Here's a lot of things to think about. And we can come back to this idea of the snow globe, come back to the breath. And as these thoughts arise, we cannot get agitated with ourselves because it only causes the thoughts to swirl more. We say things like, oh, I'm no good at this, or why won't you leave me alone, or why can't I do this? This swirls up the snow globe. And instead, if we just say, oh, thank you for bringing that to my attention, we just kind of ignore the thoughts or let them linger. We don't follow the thoughts. We just come back to the breath. Oh, I feel my belly rise. I feel my belly sink. Sure enough, the thoughts eventually settle like the snow. We often use either the physical sensations in the body or the breath as the object of meditation because those are pretty easy to grasp without getting too distracted. But we can also use whatever's going on in our mind as the object of meditation. So when the thoughts come, we can be the observer of the thoughts. What is the thought? What is the mind doing? We can ask questions like, have I had this thought before? Do I have this thought often? Or is this a new thought? Is this a thought that's helpful? Or a thought that's just noise? Sometimes our thoughts are take action thoughts, something that we want to do or forgot to do or feel like we should do, especially when we're allowing ourselves to rest because we deserve rest. Sometimes the mind says, oh, do this, do this, do this, do this. That's fine. We can observe that and say, oh, my mind is busy thinking of things that I could be doing rather than being. And as we watch the thought without following it, without believing it, because not all of our thoughts are true, if we leave the thought alone and just watch it from a distance, what happens to the thought? When we don't encourage it, but we also don't push it away. Usually, when we allow our thoughts to just float around and come and go, they do eventually go on their own. But maybe not in the time frame that we would like. We're not always in charge of how quickly or slowly these thoughts come in and out of our brain. But we can watch the thoughts passing as it follows its natural trajectory and goes somewhere else. And then we can return to the breath. And we can stay here in the present moment patiently until another thought arises. So it's another way to think about what's going on in the body and the brain when we're doing our breathing or doing our meditation. Thanks for practicing with me today. You can slowly